Welcome to college football in 2026, where the ink on the new 12-team playoff bracket isn't even dry, and the people running the sport are already trying to double it. Because why have a modest party when you can invite the entire neighborhood, blow the breakers, and make the neighbors call the cops? Make no mistake, this isn't a Democratic vote. This is an absolute geopolitical Cold War between the sport's two mega conferences. On one side, you have Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti, who is aggressively leading the charge for a massive 24-team model. On the other, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, who has historically dug his heels in at a 16-team cap. They have a hard deadline of December 1st to shake hands on a deal, or the entire future of the postseason goes up in smoke. You see, America, this isn't just about giving more teams a shot at a trophy. This is a raw power play over television billions, the December calendar, and pure, unadulterated institutional self-preservation. I am Rico Suave, the voice of college football from the College Pigskin Hour, giving you the cold, hard truth. But before we look at the 2014 blueprint, we have to first look at the power dynamics of this mess. Because the SEC is entering this negotiation with a bit of a leverage paradox. For over a decade, Greg Sankey had a flawless trump card in his back pocket, Nick Saban's Alabama dynasty. It was the ultimate "we rule this sport, so we make the rules" excuse. But with Saban gone, the SEC's absolute grip on national dominance has visibly fractured, leading to a recent stretch of subpar performances by their own historic standards. Meanwhile, the Big Ten has surged on the field, capturing the ultimate bragging rights of 3 consecutive national championships. So the question echoing through college football circles is simple. Why does the SEC still get a de facto veto over the playoff format? Does a conference experiencing a relative competitive dip deserve equal positioning in a historic handshake? Or is the Big Ten the true operational superpower now? And the data isn't doing the SEC any favors. The SEC has always claimed that its conference-controlled games dictate the sport's financial value. But look at the viewership reality check. ESPN's first-round playoff games last season, which perfectly avoided NFL competition, averaged just under 15 million viewers. Sounds great, right? Except that was actually shy of the audiences for the 2 most-watched regular season games, Ohio State-Michigan and Ohio State-Texas. The regular season is still outpacing the postseason, and the Big Ten holds the keys to the biggest television draws. So, what does this massive 2014 universe look like? The logistics are wild. We're talking 23 at-large bids versus exactly 1 automatic qualifier slot for the entire group of 6 field. The top 8 seeds get a first-round bye. But here's the kicker for fans. Rounds 1 and 2 are played entirely on home campuses in mid-December. Imagine cold weather, freezing playoff football coming to places like Columbus, Ann Arbor, and South Bend. The quarterfinals then shrink back into the traditional New Year's Day bowl games. It sounds like a dream, but logistically it's a calendar nightmare. The American Football Coaches Association actually voted to recommend ending the season by the 2nd week of January to protect player health and, let's be honest, fix a completely broken winter transfer portal window. And then there are the unsolved puzzles. How do you squeeze in 8 first-round games without forcing networks to broadcast head-to-head against each other, or worse, get absolutely steamrolled by the NFL? Oh, and how do you preserve the historic standalone Army-Navy game window if one of the academies actually makes the top 24? It's like trying to fit a hyperactive linebacker into an airline middle seat. Someone is going to get crushed. To make this giant bracket fit into that tiny calendar, something historic has to die. Conference championship games. And this is a massive financial trade-off. League title games are absolute cash cows. Collectively, the Power 4 conferences generate roughly $200 million from these weekends alone. Let's break down the the revenue. The SEC pulls in a staggering $100 million. The Big Ten clears $50 million, and the Big 12 and ACC take home about $25 million each. The Big Ten is completely fine with burning it down. Tony Petitti flat out stated he could eliminate the Big Ten championship game fast enough to launch this 24-team model by 2027. Penn State's athletic director Pat Kraft openly argued that title games shouldn't hold up historical progress. But over in the SEC, absolute trepidation. Georgia coach Kirby Smart is waving a massive red flag over losing that guaranteed revenue stream, while athletic departments are facing skyrocketing costs to pay athletes directly. Here's the math problem. Industry projections suggest that adding those 8 extra playoff games might only bring in $200 million to $300 million in new money. Is spreading that net profit across the entire country really worth destroying the pageantry and cash of historic championship weekend? This brings us to the battle lines. For the Big Ten, it is 24 teams or bust. They are backed completely by television partners like Fox Sports, whose CEO, Eric Shanks, openly called 24 teams the best model. They are a completely united front. But at the SEC spring meetings in Destin, Greg Sankey's official stance was anchored to 16 teams, while his own coaches started a literal rebellion in the hallways. Florida's John Sumrall admitted to reporters he prefers 24. Texas coach Steve Sarkisian pushed back on the current 12-team model entirely, proposing a wild alternative, a 4-team mini SEC playoff to save their title game and guarantee the winner a spot. Talk about an SEC-centric echo chamber. So why did the Big 12 and ACC suddenly abandon their defenses to join the Big Ten's army? One word: fear. The 12-team model leaves them incredibly vulnerable. Big 12 coaches voted unanimously for the 24-team format because they feel left behind. Conference officials noted that if a 24-team field had existed last season, the Big 12 would have safely secured 5 bids instead of just 1 or 2. They aren't expanding for the good of the sport. They are expanding out of survival. If you think I'm being cynical about the motivation here, let me introduce you to Texas A&M coach Mike Elko. He bluntly exposed the true driving force behind these closed-door meetings, stating on record, "I want 40 teams, because then I'll make it and I won't get fired." Give that man a medal for honesty. Coaches are begging for more spots out of pure job security, not what's best for the sport. But traditionalists are terrified that a 24-team field completely destroys the weight of the regular season. If a 3-loss or 4-loss team can easily back into a national title shot, do historic November rivalry games like the Game or the Iron Bowl carry the same legendary stakes if both teams have already locked up a playoff spot? Proponents of expansion say we're worrying over nothing. Maryland Athletic Director Jim Smith, who spent decades in the NFL, and Washington's Jed Fish, a former Patriots assistant, point directly to the pros. They argue that expanding the NFL postseason didn't dilute anything. It made the end of the regular season significantly more compelling for average teams. But even if the regular season survives, the selection committee is walking straight into a total nightmare. SEC athletic directors are already demanding that the committee heavily reward their brutal 9-game conference schedules. They've explicitly warned that if a 10-2 team from a weaker conference gets into a 24-team bracket over a 9-3 SEC team, the entire system will lose public trust. And then a fascinating secret leaked out of those closed-door meetings. Ole Miss defensive coordinator Pete Golding revealed that the committee uses a strict 24-point scoring differential as its official benchmark for a resounding win. Anything beyond 24 points is completely ignored to discourage running up the score. But coaches are already asking, does this mean we have to stop taking a knee late in games and score from the 2-yard line just to impress human voters? Former committee members are quietly panicking. Ranking the top 4 or top 12 is clean, but accurately distinguishing between a cluster of 3-loss and 4-loss teams ranked 16 through 26, that is going to invite unprecedented public outrage and fan-base scrutiny. So what's the ultimate verdict? Despite Greg Sankey's public messaging of patience and data, the SEC simply cannot afford to be left out of the sandbox if the Big Ten, Big 12, ACC, and Notre Dame move forward together. Expect the SEC to leverage some major formatting concessions, but ultimately they will sign the handshake, bringing a 24-team reality to life by 2027. This was Rico Suave, the voice of college football, coming at you live from our College Pigskin Hour studio in Barstow, California. But I want to hear from you, America. With Nick Saban gone and the Big Ten winning the last 3 national titles, does the SEC even deserve to hold up this expansion? Is Mike Elko right? Has the pressure of modern college football officially broken the postseason? And finally, would you trade your conference championship game for a snowy, freezing home playoff game in mid-December? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that subscribe button, stay prestigious, and good night, America.